ability to do seeker, and would Ron's jealousy tendencies be tempered by the Ron's jealousy is tempered by all the horrors and all the difficulties that Harry goes through. Without those things, would Ron's jealousy be tempered enough to be friends with them?
And it's not even completely tempered because we see him, like you know, 4th year, 7th year, we see instances even with everything that Harry experiences.
Fourth year, yes, but by 4th year they were friends to break up. I'm questioning 2nd year, 1st year, like.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
would have been the tight duo they were.
Yeah.
If Harry had not been the Harry he was because he was the boy who lived and had been raised like he was. I think there's only, depending on the book you read and the year you read, 4, 5, or 6 boys in the dorm. So,
I say yes, but okay. Rod asked what Harry had been.
I'm going to come back to that one.
We'll come back to that.
Question. I think they would have been much more like Ron seems to be with Seamus and Dean. Like they're friends because they're all growing up together. They're stuck in a room together. I think that's the level of friendship they would have had.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have formed a duo, he's my best friend thing if Harry had not gone through what he did to get there.
I think it's one of those what ifs that really, at first, I think the easy answer is like, no, they would still hate each other. And like when you don't think about it for a couple seconds, it's like, why would it change anything? But the more you think about it, it opens up all these other questions of like, would Harry have ended up with Ginny? Would Harry have actually gone on to be a famous Quidditch player as an adult? Like, because so much of his decision making, so much of the relationships that he builds stems from being the chosen one in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Well, and being raised by the Dursleys versus his parents.
Yes.
Right. But the Harry Ginny lover in me says they would have found their way to each other.
Maybe.
Sure.
But would that make it even worse for Ron? Well, I think Ron would be even more pissed.
Well, yes. But reality says he probably wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I say only because, again, the Wizarding world is very much hierarchical by money. And the Weasleys were never that affluent family. But I do want to go back to Raj's question. Would he have been in Gryffindor? TC has said yes immediately.
I don't think he would have been in Slytherin, but I could see him being maybe a Ravenclaw or a Hufflepuff or something.
I put him in Puff. Because I think his Gryffindor tendencies would have in fact been tempered, even though Lily was a Gryffindor. I think they would have been tempered by her and the discipline she gave his life, so that he would have asked the hat for a calmer environment.
Nope.
I think it depends on the grandparents.
Go ahead.
I think it depends on the grandparents. I think if like both sides, all sides are just completely spoiling him, that boy's going in Slytherin. But I think if there's enough temperance from, if it's like James and only James, who's just like, hey, you're the greatest kid that I've ever seen, then maybe he would still be in. I can't see him.
I'm just going to say, Fleamont was gone early enough that he wouldn't have had it. Fleamont, remember, is grandpa.
That's right. Oh my God. Well, and what was his grandmother's name? It's also ridiculous.
Oh, that one I don't remember. Fleamont sticks with
Eugenia something.
We'll put it on Facebook. Anyways,
but yeah, I also wonder if, and I mean, the question was, would he have been in Gryffindor? And my brain literally immediately supplied, would he have gone to Hogwarts?
Euphemia.
Why would he have gone to Hogwarts?
Euphemia. That's it. I don't know. I'm not saying he wouldn't have, but maybe with the differences made by all these changes of him not being the chosen one and having his parents, they decide to send him to Ilvermorny just for having a better experience, or like, I mean, anything could have happened.
Okay, so here's a question. Let's say he goes after Neville. However, there's still the idea that they went into hiding for most of Harry's childhood. He kills Neville. They come out of hiding once he disappears. These two Gryffindor people who are very, very happy to be Gryffindors, who met because they were Gryffindors at Hogwarts, are going to raise a freaking Gryffindor whose godfather is a Gryffindor. Like,
but we don't know that. All we know is they hated Snape.
You
We
don't know
don't
that.
know that.
Neither of my parents are. That's not true, actually. I just remembered. Never mind.
yeah, but if you remember, it usually runs in families, and if the hat gives you a choice, which it did, he's going to say Gryffindor.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, like you were saying, if the grandparents are spoiling them, and like now that we know there's all these other wizarding schools, they could have been like, I want you to do a study abroad. Like anything could have been different.
I think it's interesting that it plays somewhere else. No, really quick before we go back, I think it's very interesting that plays somewhere else. Mel just happens to keep putting Harry where she is.
Right.
Oh, I think he'd be at Hufflepuff. If he's not at Hufflepuff, he's definitely at Ilvermorny.
Right.
And can I ask the other side of that? Because something else that was completely possible was that Lucius did go to jail. What would a Draco who met Harry, saying that Voldemort chose Harry and Harry is the chosen one, but Lucius went to jail? What does that Draco look like?
Wow. That Draco is, first of all, much less prejudice. Still prejudiced as his mother was, but much less.
I was going to say it could be one of two sides. You know what I mean? It's like, I think about how if you've ever known someone who has like an alcoholic father, and there's like, let's say there's a brother and a sister and they have an alcoholic father, you could have the sister never touch alcohol her entire life and the brother also become an alcoholic. So it's like, it really depends on if we think Draco is a person who would recognize his father's crimes, or if he would, be like, this is the motherfucker that got my dad arrested. You know what I mean? Like, it could go one way or the other.
You're not wrong, but I think we have to remember, although she was not a Death Eater, Narcissa was still all about blood purity. So he still would have had that. He still would have been raised with it.
Yeah.
He still wouldn't have known tongues. He still wouldn't, like, those things would not have changed even if Lucius was in jail. Because I don't think, even if Lucius was in jail, Narcissa would have stepped out to go back to her sister. Like, I don't think he was what's holding her back from being a part of Andromeda's life. So he's still a prejudiced kid. He's still a kid who's raised to think he's better than everybody. I just think he's like 10% less.
I was going to say, I still think he'd be less cocky.
Yeah.
I think if nothing else, because if we look at Dumbledore as a example, as a kid, he had to overcome the rumors of his father being in jail. And Draco would have had to as well. Yeah. He would have had to overcome, your father's in jail because he's da-da-da-da-da. That it's going to humble him a little bit. Now, he may go the opposite and become extra rude because of it.
Well, I mean, we at least have book 6 to look at as some example of what Draco would be like while his dad's in jail, because...
Yeah, but you have to temper that with hormones and teenage angst.
For sure, like but he's definitely... If that's to be even taken a little bit, he probably would be more reserved as a person. Yeah. Like you said, he wouldn't have Lucius, bigging him up all the time and inflating that ego. But I also think that there'd be a desire to like fly under the radar a little bit more, like not to be recognized as the kid whose dad's in jail.
Yeah.
Well, I had thought he could actually be more actual friends with Crabbe and Goyle.
Yes.
As the three bullies. He may have been like the skinnier of the bullies, but I think that's like the Dudley group.
Yeah.
Because his dad's in jail and people want to push his buttons, see what I could do, man.
Yeah.
I think he could have totally gone to bully status and just not strong as Crabbe and Goyle. But I think they would have been friends who bullied together.
Yeah, I don't think
master and servant, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been like a Neville. You know what I mean? Like how Neville became like nebbish and reserved, and also tries to keep people from knowing about his parents' situation.
No.
Like I don't ever see that being how Draco goes down. Like,
so let's
go ahead
back to Harry and Draco a bit,
okay.
and their relationship to each other, because I have a thought or a question about this. Let's say, you know, everything that we know is happening. You get to fourth year, hormones are getting involved, talking about asking girls to a dance, dealing with the Triwizard Tournament. Do you think during the course of the first 4 years of their lives, there is any moment where they could have buried the hatchet, so to speak, and become friends before Voldemort returns, before all the real gets real, and Lucius picks sides and he sees Lucius in the like all of the things that happened before then? Is there a moment you think these two could have actually become maybe friendly or friends?
I had one pop into my head that doesn't necessarily put them in the category of friendship, but it could have been a moment where if Draco had apologized for what happened to Hermione's teeth, if he had truly apologized and been so sorry, she was a byproduct, I didn't mean for that to happen, man, this has gotten out of hand, they could have created a cordialness between them that took away a lot of the animosity that kept growing. But because, and I really don't know why I think that's the moment, but I think because that moment happened and he had to defend his friend, Harry then doubled down on his hatred, and Draco just continued his asshole-like ways. So I don't know why that one came to mind. That's the one that came to mind for me, though. Like that, an apology there, because Harry was really about his friends. Like nothing that Draco could have said to him, I don't think would have changed anything. But saying I'm sorry to his friends, something being nice to Ron, like I think that's what would have opened up Harry enough to allow him to be like, okay, we're going to let bygones be bygones and just stay out of each other's hair from now.
But there's no universe where that happens.
No.
But she asked the question of, was there a moment where if it
let me ask a subtle twist on what TC asked.
Sure.
Do you think if Harry accepted Draco's friendship when it was originally offered, and Harry still continues to go to Gryffindor and befriend Hermione and Ron and all of that, that there would ever be a way that because he was willing to become friends with Draco that he could have ever changed Draco along the way? Because I feel like the more you read Dumbledore stuff, a lot of Dumbledore's perspective has always been that there is, you know, he talks about like we put these people in their houses way too young, and that it's like it already seeds this is how you are, this is who you're going to be. And that like, could Harry have, with his overall just good personness, been able to like accept this original olive branch and completely change Draco's fate in that moment because he didn't see him as garbage?
No, I think Harry could have accepted it.
Yeah.
They then went inside. He got sorted into Gryffindor. He got sorted into Slytherin. Draco gets ticked. And regardless, the outcome is the same.
Right.
Like,
I actually
now
went
going to blow off Harry.
Well, hang on, though. Because the hat... Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Because the hat and Harry have a little tiff. And Harry's like, not Slytherin, because the hat wants to put him in Slytherin. If he had not had that embedded in him by Hagrid, by Ron, by, you know, these other people, he wouldn't have said not Slytherin, and he might have been Harry might have been sorted into Slytherin. And then
but that wouldn't
he
have
just
changed
stays friends
based on the handshake. Yeah, but that wouldn't have been changed based on the handshake, is what I'm saying. Just the act of Harry shaking his hand and being like, cool, nice to meet you, I don't think would have changed Draco in the least bit. He
I
just
love-
then
no.
he would have been like, and I'm friends with the chosen one.